Hello. Hello. Nice to see you. Welcome. So this is the plan. This is an old PR of mine, about a month and a half ago. And it was aiming to solve an issue, as every good PR is. This particular PR is resolving an issue with the root injection. Hey, nice to see you. And basically, the issue, I feel like I've said that I've explained things around this so many times because it's to do with suspense. Basically, if you have a Nuxt app, something like this, and playground, please. Playground. If you have a Nuxt app, oh, that was the thing I was working on the other day. If you have a Nuxt app and you have a and you use, say, $root in this page. That $root is a global injection. So if you're using that on page 1 and on page 2, and then you click a link to go to page 2, but there's an async thing that has to complete before the navigation happens, actually the root is going to change, this $root thing is going to change first, which means it will change on the page you're on, and then you'll change the page. And that is a very strange thing that happens. And basically, it doesn't happen if you do use root, because we actually manage the state separately of the root object inside each page. So it will always stay the same. Well, yeah, to be fair, Tom, the first day was like 30 minutes and then my computer exploded. So I feel like the least I can do is make up for it. So this is the theory. So this is what I want to fix. I want to make it so you don't need to call use root. And this might just be a sort of hack. Basically, I created a PR that allowed you to configure a mixin, which would basically do this. It's not a lot, but would basically just ensure that $root is always synced and always up to date. The problem is that runs for every single component in your app, whether or not you're using the $root, and therefore it's computationally expensive. I feel like you shouldn't need to do this. And Sebastian suggested this actually, rather than add this as a feature, let's just treat this as a bug fix and try and solve the $root injection issue. So what I'm going to do is take this PR and like, completely change it. So I'm going to start from that branch. Let's see, get fetch origin, and I'll just ensure it's up to date, and then I'll just like, eliminate it. So get checkout origin main. Okay, so basically what I've just done here is erase the PR. This reverts it back to main, and I'll choose what I keep. So we're starting from scratch, that we don't really want to do a huge amount here. Okay, I think actually there's very little that this does. Okay, there's very little in this PR. I'm just gonna keep it the same, but just make some changes. But this isn't really starting on something that already exists. We're just gonna do this from scratch. So to start with, we'll rename the flag. Template root mixin, we're gonna call template root injection. I think that seems like a reasonable thing. Okay, and then instead of injecting a plugin, we should, like a mixin, we should use a build plugin. Okay, seems reasonable. Add build plugin. And we'll need to get rid of this root injection thing. And we'll create a build plugin. We'll call it root injection. And it will just be a basic normal unplugin. So I'm basically hoping this is going to be quick. I don't feel like this is a complex thing. So I'm hoping we'll get a quick win, although obviously I don't really know. Root injection plugin options. And actually I'm increasingly a fan of the pattern of basically passing Nuxt to a plugin factory and then doing what we do. So hopefully this is going to work. Okay. Okay, so we're going to call this Nuxt root injection plugin. And basically, I think template root injection, I think we can enable this by default. And what we're going to do is we're going to add root injection plugin like that. And so now all of our logic can be in this root injection file. So what we want to do here is basically we want to process fully processed view SFCs, and we only want to include template and script, I think. And basically what we want to do is just check that we are getting the right code to start with. FID includes index.view console log code. And we're going to try it on the playground to start with. So we're going to make this index.view because basically this doesn't make sense as app.view. You have to have routing enabled. Okay, so let's give this a try. Okay, so what I want to do, what I'm expecting to see is like when I make a request, the code. Okay, I'm seeing it twice because we have a server build and a client build. And actually we probably only care about this on the client side because I think there's not multiple routes on the server side, so we can use the normal root injection there. So really we only care here about the client side. So we basically could choose to add this only on the client. I think we can do that like this. Let's try it again. Okay, I think that's right. I think that's what's going on. I think there was more stuff before. Not really sure. We'll have to confirm that. I might have to set server full. I have set server full. So this must be right. Okay. So basically what we're interested in here is, so this is what happens when you use a property in a single file component. It's sort of pulled, so an undefined property, like an injection. It's pulled off of context like that. So that's what we're looking for specifically. And we can actually presumably replace that. So now what I don't know is whether, we'll start with just a regex solution. Let's see if we can get away with not parsing it. So const injection re is that. Okay. And we basically want to make sure we don't match router. And what we want to do is replace that in this finished code. So, and we can do, I think this is technically slightly more performant. So let's just create a non-global version and do the same. So if not, test code, return, and then we're basically going to create a magic string and loop over injection. I would be interested to know whether it would be more performant actually to just get all the matches and then return if there aren't any, or no, this must be more performant, right? Okay. And so what we want to do is make a replacement whenever this happens. So we want to, instead of accessing it from context root, we want to access it from, we want to have another name. So we'll basically have a root injection name, and we're going to call it next root. Seems reasonable. So basically what we would want to do is just replace it. So in fact, we could say, let's try this. We could just do s replace injection re with root injection name. Okay, so that's just going to replace it all. And then what we need to do if this has happened, so we could just track that. Let replaced false, replaced true, and return that. So what we could do is if we have replaced at least one of these root injections, then we now need to add our correct root to the actual ambient whatever here. Now the issue might be, I think there are a couple of things. So one is, what if we just have this? That is a bit of a problem. So if we have a script set up, then that is fine. If we don't have a script set up, then that might be a problem, because we might only be able to replace this in, hey, Winter, how are you? There might be more trouble. Okay, so basically, if we have a script, if we already have a setup, if we have an instance like for this component, then this will be more straightforward. If we don't, it's going to be more complex. So we could actually just, I mean, we will want to parse this, but for now we could basically early return if we don't have a setup function. We probably do need to parse it, I feel. Now we did this, I think, yesterday, but I somehow have already forgotten the code. So what we want to do is, let's see. We want to walk. Okay. And we'll pull in walk from ES tree walker. And we will have an enter, as node. And we will enter our node. And what we want to do is we need to detect that this is a script setup. Am I working? I'm procrastinating. That's what I'm doing. I'm procrastinating on 3.7. But the thing is, I'm very distractible. So if you want to focus me back on 3.7, it's possible to do that. What is actually going on? So I'm still basically waiting for some upstream stuff happening in Nitro. And an implementation, which is why I'm not. And I'm also very happy with the current state of the Nuxt main branch. There is one thing, I would like to get the manifest PR in, but I think that's the only thing. So basically our ecosystem CI is currently green, which is great. So all of the downstream projects that are depending on Nuxt are working well. I spent some time yesterday debugging and finding out what was wrong, if anything was wrong. So I'm happy with that. There are a few PRs that would be really nice to get in. We will get this one in, but it's also pending an upstream change. So as a result, I am doing this. So hopefully it will be okay. So what we're interested in, oh, I did this, didn't I? Did I do this yesterday? Was this what I did yesterday? Or am I imagining that? Okay, branches, that's fine. What did I do yesterday? Server only. Did I... pass? No, I didn't. Or did I? I didn't. Where did I do this? I'm sure I did this locally. I transformed... Let me see if I can pull up my editor and open a local project. did I do locally? Oh, I think it was this. I think this is actually something I landed yesterday, which is basically for the native async component context. I added a little plugin, a tiny little plugin that transformed top level calls to script setup. And that's basically, it's the same parsing that I need to do now. So basically this code is what I just want to copy and paste into this project. So basically we're only interested in, let's see, this. I'm only interested in the import of defined component from Vue, and only interested in this in script setup within it. So in this particular case, we're not going to make this change. That was all that the other PR did. But what we are going to do here is add root injection. And then if we found it, we can then do the rest of the stuff here. Thank you. That's really nice of you. Okay. I do, by the way, I really struggle to remember, it's David, right? I really struggle to remember people's actual names if I see everywhere them with their like GitHub handle, which, you know, you basically are Archetype. You have become a manifestation of Archetype. And yes, well, that's probably the case. But I'm sure, yeah. Anyway, Archetype. Happy days. Okay, so so what we want to do, I think what we can do here is we add the root injection, and 2, we replace it in the setup. So we can do that like this. I think it's fair to say that we can do it here, like actually within the code, because actually we want to constrain the use of context. Well, Joaquin, hello, nice to see you. A manifestation of Archetype. What do you mean true on a deeper level? Like as in you yourself are type safe. You are able to become what people say. I think this could be a very terrifying thing to explore. Okay, so so we add the root injection. So this should be relatively straightforward. So basically, I think well, let's just log it. So console log code slice start end, and see what's going on. And I think we can comment that out for now and just run that again. So, oh wait, I've obviously been so... What have I done wrong here? Oh, it's the async setup thing. That was from the other PR. This one, we don't care. 3.7 today. I'm still hoping. The blockers are upstream, and people are actively working on them. So I can't solve it or jump in. But when we say today sort of extends into the night. That is often how these things work. Well, I was hoping for a quick win here, and then I could solve some of the things. Oh, what's the issue? So we have an import declaration. This is fine. Oh, could that be the issue? What's going on in my page? I'm not using it. So we're early returning. We'll just say root path. Okay. So that's fine. And now we've got the code. Okay, so this is our code. This is within the... What do we want to log? What are we logging? just the code of the block statement. So try it one more time. Why is that not working? Well, that's interesting, isn't it? So if id includes index.view console log code, so we have our render function. Ah, that might be it. This doesn't merit a setup function, even this, which was exactly what we were saying. So even if I do console log hi, this should now be a little bit different because we now, I think, have a setup, which means it will probably return the function. So this is the sort of the content here. So we are going to have to solve the issue of putting something on context. Hey, Andy. Nice to have you. Nice to have you with us. So, oh, I think I have a better option here, right? I don't think I need to do this at all. So in fact, my previous PR was this. We actually accessed vm.provides.root. So I wonder, heyo, nice to see you, Ao. It's been ages. Let's see if actually okay, what I want to see is whether I can access this metal Jack. Hello. You're not full stack Jack, are you? No, you're not full stack Jack. But okay, what I want to see is whether I can actually just replace it with the provide. So let's, instead of doing this, let's replace it with context dot how can I best log it? I want somehow to log this. Okay, it might need to pop in here. So let's just return some code. So we'll just do this. I want to log this like this. And let's see what that does. Oh, that's, let me get rid of this. I'm expecting, obviously, that will be a like mismatch because we're just replacing it with an entirely different component. But I just want to get this log, if it's actually going to happen. Come on, give me a log. Or maybe it's not even hydrating. Okay, what I want, I guess, is the code from the component before. I'll just replace it. So instead of return returned, we'll console log the context, I think. So return open block, create element block, and we'll just return this. Replace this is terrible. I should be debugging this. This is what this is what debugging exists for, right? This is silly of me not to do that. But it is obviously working. So I'm getting access to the context. What I want to know is, can I get access to the injections through here? So, and oh, thank you. That is very kind. We have context, and we also have I think context is what we want. That's the thing that's going to be consistent everywhere. If I accessed, that is my cat. Oh, do you want to see my cat? I'll let her in. Things definitely got serious. Hello. Hi. Hello. Hello. There she is. Yeah. The camera is such that you probably won't be able to see her most of the time. Oh, thank you, Jan. You probably won't be able to see her, but she is here and purring and very happy. This is Barley. We've had her since she was a kitten. She is very sweet. So what I'm sort of hoping is that I get access to things. So I'm not interested in... Aha! Is this what I want? Maybe. Let me just do a little bit more quick logging. So previously I was accessing provides.root, and the question is, does that exist? Yes. So let's try it here. Okay. If this works, it will be amazing, because it will work presumably everywhere. Undefined. Oh, rats. But that is interesting, because it clearly does. Thank you. Goodness, that's very nice. Okay. Why is it undefined? I'm guessing it's the parent rather than the current. I don't actually know what the $sign represents here in this particular case. Let me just pull it out again. I'll actually log the whole thing and see. Barley, when she was little girl, sat on my head and shoulder. But alas, she doesn't do that anymore. Oh, whoa. Something is happening. And thank you. I'm not quite sure what hype train is, but there's definitely a hype train occurring. Oh, does it make a sound? Did anybody hear a sound? Hi, Tina. Okay, I don't want $sign. What I wonder is, can I get it off of this? Let's try. Is this the same thing? Provides. I think it's the same instance. Can you hear the purring? It is, I suspect, quite strong. The love is real. But now I'm in the sort of, I can no longer access my keyboard directly. Okay. Yeah, it's going to access it. So, I think it's, this one has a root symbol. So I think this is the view router root rather than, like, this is the one we don't want. What I don't know is if somehow we can get access to, so nothing about the context is going to be, let me just logging out the code again. Nothing about the context is going to be specific to this particular component, I think. So we have our render. Stuff's coming from setup. If we, she's back. I'm going to log the code. And let's make this as minimal as possible. So we're even going to remove our hi. This is just a pure component. So what we have is the context and the cache. And the context is well, let's see what's happening in view. Hey Emma. What we're doing is we are improving the stability of Nuxt, because at the moment, if you use a $root injection in your code, this is independent of the actual root you're on, which means when you're changing pages, if the root will change slightly before the actual page changes, which means you can, so if you were doing something like, if root path is this, then show that, then it means that you'll get something flickering on the page. So we don't like that. So we want to access not the global root, but the injected root. Nuxt injects a specific one using underscore, using a provide inject key. Oh, that's what it is. We no longer use the underscore root. Instead, we have something called page root symbol. Thank you for the prompt, because now this is answered it for me. So what we want is to access the page root symbol. Let's try that. Let's see what happens if we do this. Is that going to magically work for us? And then, yeah. Oops. Passwords. Hello. What happened? There is a level 1 emote. Thank you, people. It is. That is the day it is today. Oh, you have like a train. Cool. Okay, so some stuff in your code. Basically what you need to do is use nuxtapp.runWithContext. So where you're using that composable, whatever it is, that you're probably using it inside an action in Pinia. And the problem is that action is not being called synchronously in the request instance. And the issue is, if it isn't, there's no way to tell which request it belongs to of the many requests that are coming in on the server. So it has to be called synchronously, or you can manually attach it to that request by using nuxtapp.call with a run with context. So that's the function you want to call, and just pass in the function you want to call, and it will call it for you. We do have something, this one, experimental native async context coming, which will basically make it just work regardless. And that's ready to land, but we're going to pause it until upstream we have the same thing in Nitro. Okay, so why is this not? Yeah, just use nextapp.run with context and it should work fine. I'm saying optimistically. Why is nothing happening here? Let's try hello. Cool. I wonder if there's just some kind of bug. If I do this. Okay. I think, what am I doing wrong here? This should be the code we have got. I think there must be a syntax error or something. Well, it's not matching somehow. Okay, so we have that's what we want to replace. Okay. Now please, may this be, it works. Okay, people, we are on top of the world. Oops. Go away. Go away. Okay, we are on top of the world because basically we have our answer. So we can actually access the correct injection directly off the context, which means we do not care about any of this now. We don't need to parse it. We can directly replace it and revert to our previous code. So we need this. So basically we have our root injection name, and we have, we'll do this. Right, so what we want to say is, what did we have? Let placed is false, and then s.replace with injection re, and we have our source will say replaced as true, and we will return context dot this. And what we want is we're going to call this next root symbol, like that. And then I think what we can do is if replaced s.prepend this import. And we will import it as next root symbol, and then we're done. So I think we can then say s is changed. We can then return this. Okay. Feel like this might be a fully functioning thing. Like that's a very nice potential feeling. Let's just see if it works. So to test if it works, to test if it works first, does it compile? We'll still expect to see like the root path in the template, and it should look like that. And no, we have a const somewhere. Oh, we need that. Yeah. Okay, so it's working. The switches I use are Gateron Pro. I'm pretty sure I say what they are here. But they're nice. I like them. They are Pro, the brown ones, I think. Do I actually say? No, I don't. They're this. Gateron G Pro Brown, that. I should add it. Oh, it's just a content site, so it should be straightforward to edit and say oops, I did really not need a pull request, but there we go. Okay, so the answer is I'm a total noob when it comes to keyboard, mechanical keyboards. So I have not lubed them. I have not done anything. This is just out of the box. I would love to get more into it, honestly. Like this is my sort of step-by-step into the world of mechanical keyboards. I've just asked people and taken advice on what they recommend. And honestly, Tim Bennix, I'll shout him out. Basically, Tim is the father of like my video camera, the camera I'm using. He recommended, and the mechanical keyboard I'm using, he recommended. So he's just a very useful person to trust on this sort of thing. Well, that is so unexpected. That is incredibly kind. Like, honestly, that is, I almost don't know how to respond, but thank you. That sounds amazing. Thank you. Okay, so we've got this, and it seems to be working. So what do we need to even do? Oh, we need to test it. So basically, what I want to show works is this. So we're going to have a long promise here. So await new promise, resolve, set timeout, resolve, like 3 seconds. And this will be the about page. And basically what we're going to do is have a link on this page to the about page and probably one back. So, okay, we've got our thing. So what we would expect is we click it and that doesn't change until we're there. That's right. That is exactly what we want to happen. That is great. Okay, I'm stoked about this. This is good. This is good. So I'm just very pleased. Okay, so that works. And this is what would have happened if it we'll say feet, Nuxt, apply build, sort of use build plugin to access injection, Nuxt injection. If we go back to the main branch and we run the same code, I think you'll see the bug. So if we click about, wait. Let's try it again. Ooh. Why? Oh, we have to restart the server because it still has the new build plugin included. Okay, so index, click about, it changes, and then the page changes, right? That's the bug. That's what we don't want. But this change should mean that we now have it working as expected. So that's cool. And we don't need to enable it by default because it is enabled by default. I'm treating this as a bug fix, and I don't think it doesn't add any extra code. Like this is just, it's still accessing context just as much as it was doing before. The only issue is that it might potentially be accessing an unsafe API. So I'll get Anthony's thoughts on that. But there we go. Okay, cool. Merged. Okay, so I will say, let's update this and we'll call it if I pushed. Yeah. Oh, we also just need to check that it still works in like app.view, or it will be fine, I would think. So if we had, say, pages dot, this might need to be fixed. Okay, so say we had root path, and then we have the same in here, and we inject the page there. Anyway, to test it. Basically, these sorts of tests are a pain to write, but it is possible because what you have to do is basically check for no flicker and almost always test. That's amazing, David. That's pretty cool. If you drop his name, I'll have a look. It'll be fun. Go back up. Okay. Okay, so this is actually fine. It's still accessing. Still accessing it. I think that is right. So we provide it at the very base level of the app. So I think this is safe. Assuming it's safe. I just want to check one more thing, which is basically that this isn't just the same as use root. Yeah, imaginary things. That's what it's about. No, sorry. The tricky thing about testing things like this is that test runners like Playwright are designed to be non-flaky. So they're very bad at testing for flaky behavior because they basically try and wait until things stabilize. So it is tricky to actually sort of force the wrong behavior. Okay, the thing that I want to check is that because we do, if you were to just say use root outside of any component, it won't update until the root fully changes. how would I test that this is working? Because the issue is, let's try this. Do you know, I just had a very good idea. I am going to, hello, Esteban, good to see you. We are going to stick a function in here. And we're going to have a child page. Sorry, this is needlessly complex maybe, but basically here we're going to use the root path, and we're actually going to call, have a logger function, and we're going to log it. And basically, I want to see what is being passed in the template. At the moment, it's being passed in the template. So here, what I want to do is just await for it, and we can have the root path, and then we'll have our child root. So this is going to be a very, very, and linked to, and then here we're going to do, okay. No, the tests are still flaky. They are totally, yeah, Daniel, welcome. The tests are still flaky, but they're just flaky in a different way. Okay, so what I want is, when I click that, okay, it logged about. Wait a sec. Oh, this is the problem. I need, yeah, no, I need the logger to be in here. And I need the delay to be in the child. So in here. Because otherwise it is waiting until it's all resolved. Sorry, this is probably a, let's see if that works. So home. Yeah, I am familiar with that for sure. Okay, great. So it is correct. It is. So basically that code is happening in the suspense fork. So it is showing that the suspense fork is showing the correct, the correctly injected root. So I will ask for Anthony's review on this. Cool. But yeah, if you want to see some of the kind of tests that we do, the flakiness, you can see things like this. So this, for example, we use selectors. So I'm specifically looking for a particular element which will be present, and then I grab the inner HTML at that moment, because if I wait for it and then perform an assertion immediately afterwards, it's too late. I don't detect the buggy behavior. So I have to be very, like, these wait for function things. Anyway, I feel this is needlessly complex. I wish I had a better way of writing this kind of assertion. So if anyone is a test genius and you want to refactor these tests, I basically want to make sure that when you're navigating from nested page to nested page, the suspensors all resolve in the right order, and that the component setup functions don't run more than once, and that there's no flicker as you see that some new code come in on your page and some old. Everything needs to be synchronous. Oh, I know, types are great. By the way, David, there's something exciting that I'm working on that you are going to love, and I can't tell you what it is yet. Okay, we're going to stash the changes. Git stash save root injection test. Ta-da. Okay, so let's do something else. I think, honestly, the other thing that I probably do need to do is finish off the build manifest PR, which is currently not passing its tests. And yet I also want to have it in for today's release. So I can hopefully that can be a quick win. We'll see. It might not be. There are some good issues that Puya spotted with it that we actually need to resolve. What do I mean actually? That we do need to resolve. So what have we got? So I mentioned this the other day, the most magic TS types you worked on. Do you want me to show you the most magic TS types that I've worked on? So the most magic is this. You know. Well, some of the stuff that we do in Nuxt is pretty magical, and I'm a big fan of it, and it's actually useful on a day-to-day basis. But you know Magic Regex, right? You know my library, David. I'm sure you do, right? Surely. Yeah. So you're responsible for this. That is... I love it. This is too much for TS, it seems. Okay. It is true though. Like when you're actually writing library code, it particularly like within the function, you can seriously say this is what's coming in and this is what's going out. And so far, you can make that assertion as like as a library author, I know this is going to be the case. I'm going to tell you that that's the case, but sometimes it's not. There was a coding competition at We Are Devs World Congress in the evening, like in the after party. So there's this nightclub atmosphere and coding, and I wish I had entered it. It would have been so much fun to get on stage and do live code. But imagine, TypeScript. I don't think I could do it quickly though. Like this is great. Like I love TRPC. It is just incredible. Like archetype is just beautiful. Like this, I bet it must be so satisfying to use. Oh, Viscoitus, thank you. Like, I don't know, but I don't ever find it fast. I always have to sort of tinker around a little bit. I don't know about you, but yeah. Do you know, I think Vue.js Amsterdam does some of the best after party stuff because there is a dance floor and there is karaoke, but there's also like board game areas and like sofas where you can sit and chat with people. Because in an after party, yes, dancing is fun, but also there is, and like you want to talk to people sometimes and like catch up. And so it doesn't all have to, not everyone has to enjoy like evening entertainment in exactly the same way. So I do love Vue.js Amsterdam for that. It is really, really good. And there's also Front End Love just before, which is run by the same people, but it's not just Vue focused. Yeah. Well, my next thing is I merged a generic into H3, which lets us have typed input parameters for body and query. And the next step there is to be able to get it working so we can do something like this. So if you're fetching an internal root like this one, you would be able to get type-safe access to body, so that it's not just a generic body in it, but I would actually say you have to provide these parameters, and the same for query. So, because again, we support just direct objects, but this, oh yes, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But that is the next thing, and we should be able to have type-safe body in query, or not type-safe, but type-hinted body in query. And yes, that's right. So the way you would do it, it's not going to work right now because it's still a pre-release, but you would do it like this. You would say body is test true, like that. So you're passing in your input generic, and if you need to, you can also pass your return type, although you shouldn't need to. This isn't working because it's a change to the type. But basically, what we plan to do is have validated event handlers that will automatically generate the type for you based on the validator. So you don't even have to write this. But if you did write that explicitly, then it will pull the data in here so the body and query are typed, and it will require type foo for sure. Like there will have to be some interesting work done, and it's probably not straightforward, but it will be fun to implement. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so magic regex is definitely the coolest thing, I think. ETA will be actually maybe before 3.8, because it might not be in time for 3.7, but it will definitely be before 3.8 because it only needs to be implemented in Nitro, not in Nuxt. So as soon as we've implemented Nitro, I think we can make a minor release or even a bug fix or whatever, and it will automatically pull through. So should be good. So a default base URL, well, the thing is, it shouldn't be typed using your internal roots, because if you have a base URL, it won't hit the same endpoint. It will hit a different endpoint. So it has to be typed differently. But maybe I'm misunderstanding what you're saying, Agora. And Ven, hello. Nice to see you. And I love your name. I'm glad you like it. It is like once you've tasted it, it's pretty good fun. Okay, build manifest. That is actually what I need to do. Oh, magic regex. Have I showed you what it does? So basically, magic regex. If I were to open my test types file, I have an example. So basically, you can create a regular expression like this, and then you can actually get the typed values back. So it does a number of things. So this one, for example, here's our regular expression, and you see we can infer the actual regular expression from, so you can see it printed out. That's purely constructed via types. And guess what? When you test it, like a match, you get a match result that is extremely specific. I have to install, maybe I have to build it. Or stub it. Install the dependencies, that's what I have to do. I think this file is actually David Ty's work. So yeah. So basically have a look at this result. It actually tells you what the actual result of the test is. How about that? So it's performing regular expressions like in types, and like you even get type safe access to groups. So this is the experimental feature, which is a little bit more performance heavy on the TypeScript end. But by default, we still do this. You still get the types, like you still, this is the default value. You still get like the groups, for example, but what you don't get is the exact results. Esteban, tell me what needs to be better, and I will make the documentation better, because I think it is very nice. What we also need is a playground. We need something where people can actually play around with it, like this. So for example, you can create this like this nested input like that, and then when you actually, I think this is all just testing input types, but like the full stack stuff. Okay, so you can also get things like this result won't have any groups because it is a global regexp used with match. So if you do that, you're not going to get groups. You're just going to get like an array of total matches. And this, but if you do it with a non-global regex, you will. And so, but if you pass a non-global regex to match all, it's not going to work. So like regex doesn't tell you that, it just throws errors. Whereas this actually does tell you that it won't work. So that's also fun. Check it out. I would love your thoughts on it. It is totally experimental though. Okay, open folder. We're going to go back to Nuxt because we actually need to do this build manifest thing. See you, Sean. Okay, app manifest. So what we're doing here is, okay. I think there are a couple of things that we need to do. Actually, I think I have some work on this locally, so I'll switch to this window. See what you mean. So this is what I would do, Rigor, is I would create two utils. So I would basically do like, because if you have a custom base URL, you're not hitting your Nitro endpoint, so types are irrelevant. I mean, you as in they're relevant, but they're not relevant in terms of your internal types. They're relevant in terms of your API types. So I would do something like this: composables, API, like this, and basically const API is fetch create base URL is my like HTTP's my API.com. And then you can actually export that and use $API anywhere in the app just as a fetch replacement. And then what you would do is export const use my API. And that is going to basically be like URL. And you are basically just going to return use fetch URL, and base URL is this like that. And that should do the job for you. I think that's what you want. So that the types are going to be like you'll get the API. You could basically if you want to have the types for everything else, like to support the options, you could do that as well. And you can, if you want a key, you can also add this to custom keyed composables, but let me not make it too complex. This is probably enough for what you need, I think. Yes, H3 can do, what do you mean? You can proxy stuff within H3. So H3 has some handlers like proxy request. So you can basically take in the event and pass in the target, and then you can have some proxy options. So stuff like what you're going to do with response and so on. And then you can, I think you await it. maybe you could just return it, but yeah, you would await it. And that would just proxy. Whoa. Whoa. That is... That is very interesting. Although I'm not 100% sure of what it's doing. Let's see. What am I missing? So why is it so deep? Like, what's the... Oh, I see. It's swapping it at every level. So every time you call it... Yeah, I see. Okay. That's crazy. How have you done that? That's remarkable. Cool. People like you are going to break the world. That is what is going to happen. Like, it is absolutely going to be, there's going to be a supercomputer somewhere that is struggling to make anything work, and it will be definitely because of that code. I take responsibility as well for that kind of stuff. Okay. Okay, right, what are we doing? So build manifest. So ignore that. I'm glad you're doing something like that. I do think that's the right solution for now. The thing is, you don't want it to be if you just make it the type of useFetch, it won't be right, because useFetch will auto-complete types for like your internal types. Like your internal endpoints. But if you then pass like API test, and that's your internal API test, and it is typed, but if you pass it with a different base URL, it won't hit the same endpoint, so the type will lie to you. So that's why I'm saying it's better not to just do a drop-in replacement with the types. Okay, so we are back to app manifest. Build manifest. Okay, so there are some issues here, and this is my local version of it. Okay, and I have some stuff I haven't pushed. Okay, a timeout, and then I've got some work in progress. So what was I doing? So we want to have a, oh yeah, what are we going to call it? And should we always run the manifest? So matter builds, that would be fine, right? So we could do, but it's not parsing. Okay, what's failing here? Oh, size. That's fine. Okay, fixtures are failing as well, though. And they're failing because, okay, they're failing in the unit test side of things, because the endpoint Puyo requested it not be builds. Okay, so we're going to rename it to something else. We should rename it to, but why is the register endpoint not working? That's the question. So vtest runtime, I think it is. Okay, register endpoint isn't working. Define event handler. Ah, that's the problem, I guess. Let's try that. Get app manifest. Okay. This is feeling better. We should have get app manifest in there under. We can test it, I think. So describe app manifests. It get app manifest. I think we have a, what do we have? What are our, it has a timestamp. So we're going to replace the timestamp with, or just set it to undefined. Okay. And what are we going to call it? Underscore meta? That's fine, I guess. So, and basically always register a handler. Okay, this is a little bit too much for one PR. Let's split this out. So that's the first thing is rename it to underscore meta builds. What did Puyo actually say about the next? Okay, I think we'll just keep it as builds because that feels simplest to me. So we'll replace meta builds with underscore builds. He did, but he also said that Nitro would support custom. This is basically down the line, if Nitro does have its own underscore builds, then it will also allow Nux to opt out of it. So I think we can be fine for the moment, and we shouldn't expect anybody to rely on this exact path. So I think I'm happy to have it just underscore builds for now, but I'll run it by him. But I think it should be fine. So So basically I'll just fix the, so test fix unit tests. And then, okay, then there's this question. Do we want to register the handler all the time? And I think probably we do, but we just want to pre-render it if we can. So let's see if we can. Oh wait, what's the matter here? Oh, good. What we want to do is actually build playground. There are a couple more changes that we need to do. Nuxt test utils is production ready. Yeah, it doesn't say that in the docs, but I totally would use it. So I mean, it's a testing framework. So, but the API, the core API isn't changing, and we now have an experimental subpath export, which means we can add new utils that are where the API isn't finalized there. But test utils is fine. You can use it to test production apps. No issues in your pipeline. Okay, so we're pre-rendering the those routes. I'm so sorry. Please use it. And you can also use Nuxt vtest too. That is more under development. So you will expect breakages, both because vtest itself is moving quite quickly, but okay, so we're automatically fetching this manifest. Okay, so the main thing is, I think that we are going to fix inject same build handler in dev. Okay. So that should actually be there also if we run the dev server. I do want to allow it to be disabled. Yeah, so I'll add it as an experimental feature that can be turned off. Another option is to inline it in the page, but we should have a manifest somewhere here. The reason we replace the Ven, if you think it's not nice, you should comment. I think are you able to disable it? See you, archetype. You forgot your other name. Okay, so the reason we do replace here is that yeah, no, I do know your name. I'm just kidding. It's because you said you were an instantiation of archetype itself. So your own identity is being subsumed in the yeah, I know your name. I even know your last name, although I'm not particularly I'm not going to dox you on Twitch, but okay. So the and yes, I would love to talk about that. So yeah, this is it. Rotor replace initial URL, and the reason is basically for when your page is cached on Google or something like that, and the actual URL the page is loaded from isn't the page that the URL that it is expecting. So if it's a route that doesn't exist, so for example, you are serving it on a different place, then that is something we handle here. But you can disable it because what we do is we set this up. All right, this is the wrong one, sorry. Pages, plugins, router. We set this up here with the payload path. So all you need to do to disable this feature, Sond, is create this plugin. In fact, I've written it in a Nuxt issue, so you can find it easily. So this. No. This. So this is probably what you want. This is probably not going to come through, but like in its correct form. But this, I'll just send the link actually, that's a better option. This plugin will prevent that behavior. But if you think it's bad behavior, feel free to open an issue and we can discuss it, because it is deliberate to avoid a different issue. Okay, let's push those changes up. And now I actually have a different change to add. So okay, this we can hide because we've done that. A Radix 3 matcher instance, that's what we want to do. So basically at the moment what we're doing in our manifest is we have this little, oh no, I think it's in payload, root matches thing. We can actually use Radix router directly. Now Radix router is a particular algorithm, but we have a package called Radix 3, which creates that. And we use this in Nitro, and it's how we match the like root rules in Nuxt. So we would want to do that like this. So we're going to want to create this here. And we do this like that. So basically what we would do is, and maybe we'd do this directly in the manifest file. So we would say this, let matcher, and matcher is matcher or yeah. Is it possible then that you have a module installed that is injecting that into the Nuxt DevTools? Or are you saying that it is actually the latest version of Nuxt DevTools that does this, that has this behavior. So I have not actually seen it, but I mean, it is possible, of course. I'm going to swap across to here and see if I can make these changes now in this editor, because this one is getting slow. Right. Okay, so we have our Radix router. We have our matcher, which is going to be a root matcher. And we are going to pull in our root rules like this. Oh, I see. We're going to need to lazily instantiate it. Export function use rule, use because it's not Nuxt DevTools itself, we can iterate quite quickly on this kind of thing. So if you don't like it, then and if you think some of the features should be moved somewhere else, then just say, because yeah, it shouldn't be sparking annoyance, it should be sparking joy. Okay, so we're basically going to say this. Okay. Okay, so we now have a native matcher, and in our payload here, we can use it. So payload composables, and instead we'll just do this. So So I think this should, and did we have anything else that we needed? There. It was called root matches. No. So we'll say refactor, use radix 3 based router matcher, and let's just see what that's done to our bundle. Where did my cat go? This has probably increased the bundle size. Ooh, by 4 kilobytes. Okay. Now, yeah, we need a time to live. And then we need to implement some more things. Yeah, that would also be fine. I'm not really sure whether there is a performance reason to use one versus the other. In this case, falsy behavior checks less, I think. So it doesn't need to check whether exactly if it's null or undefined. I think it injects less code in the end at the end of the day. But we could do this. Sometimes, though, you do have issues with compilation in legacy browsers, but in this case, maybe not. Okay, so the issue that we now have to think about is that what we want for a manifest is that it, we want to know, like, it can get out of date. So we currently are just fetching it, and then it's set. But we want to know if there's a new version at any point. And in general, we also want to do the point that Esteban raised, which is, shall we allow this to be disabled or be an opt-in feature anyway? So we probably therefore are going to create an experimental flag, and we're going to say, we're going to call it build manifest or something like that. We'll say use build manifests to determine whether to fetch payloads to respect root rules on client side. And we'll say build manifest false. And then basically we can enable this contingently. So what we would want to do is then in our I think we're going to need to respect that in within our code. So would we make this required for using payloads? I think so. So basically, if we want to support payload extraction, then we also need to have the build manifest enabled. So we could basically set that as resolve val get there we go. Okay, so that means we can expect that this is the case when we are within our payload. And we can also, what other things are we injecting? Okay, so in Nitro, we're only going to add the handler when we have this enabled. So the experimental option is called build manifest. So if next options experimental build manifest, then we'll do this. And we'll do the same up here. Cool. Oh. Good. So what else needs to be protected? I think this is fine. And then we okay, let's see what that does. Although it shouldn't actually do anything because we have it enabled by default. If we set it to be, or do we? Payload extraction. Then that should take us back down to our previous bundle size. Yeah. And 96.2 and 64. Let's see. Okay. So that's fine. In fact, it takes us down lower. Not quite sure how that's the case. So payload extraction. I think this is actually fine to enable always. because this is a little strange. What's going on here? What is this? What have I just done? I think that's fine, because oh no, I see. We don't want to pre-render them unless we are. Okay, I think we can remove all of it. Yeah. Okay, so what else would we want to do? So we've got that. We're only going to add the handler and pre-render it, and we're only going to inject the pre-rendered routes if we have our build manifest. And then so what's the difference here? What are we looking at? Is the different bundle size because of the size of the manifest rather than the size of the JavaScript? What are we pulling in? We're pulling in JavaScript. Okay, we need a time to live. That's loud disabling build manifest. We also need to disable somehow the actual composables if we don't have a build manifest enabled. So okay, this has me adding this as a global constant. I guess we don't need to do anything if payload extraction just is not enabled. But from the composable side, yeah, okay, that's where we're using it. So basically, if payload extraction is disabled, then we completely don't do anything with load payload. That makes sense. Honestly, I wouldn't use if you're starting a new project, use the script setup. There are a lot of very nice optimizations that are possible with it, so you'll write a more performant app that way, and it is a nicer experience as a developer. And you won't find it difficult to adjust to it if you know the options API. So I would definitely use the composition API. I would use the script setup specifically and the composition API. Highly recommended. Yeah. Okay, so in is pre-rendered, we'll need to respect this this new function that we'll export. So basically, we also will export this utility from nuxt-config.mjs. We have this. So we have payload extraction. We'll also add build manifest. and we will use that here. So we will import and if there is no build manifest, we'll have to call it an app manifest, I guess. I guess we could call it a build manifest though instead. So get app manifest can be get build manifest. Actually, I'm changing my mind. App manifest might be better. What do we think? Hey, Okoro! Nice to see you. So we've renamed everything around, and we can early return if we're if we don't have app manifest enabled. So basically, if there's no app manifest, then we can early return here. We'll just return false. Yeah. Cool. And what else uses the manifest? So it seems fine. We use it. I guess it's probably safe to pull it in here. No, I think it's safer not to. It's safe to pull it in here. So I would, honestly. In terms of whether you rebuild a project, I'm not sure I would necessarily. I would consider carefully whether you do that, because that can be a lot of hours of dev time for not necessarily as much productivity as you think. So if you are, for example, not in an ongoing, if you're not maintaining something in an ongoing way, then maybe doing this kind of rebuild is not needed at all. But I mean, take it. Like there are questions maybe that you might want to ask. It's definitely a conversation worth having, but yeah. Let's see. Okay, I think basically what we've done here. Oh, nice. Oh, I'm sorry, it doesn't do it. You can see it here. Let's see, allow disabling the build manifest. Okay, so here, like, do you want to see the feature, like what this unlocks? So let's add another feature here. So at the moment we have our manifest, which we're injecting in Nitro. What is this? Why so much red? And at the moment we are only adding this util, which is basically adding certain root rules, pre-render and redirect. So let's like add redirect support. So basically what we want is if we have like this playground here, and we have a root rule, which is that we're going to redirect about to home. Now, if we perform a request and hit that about root, it is going to redirect us to home from the server. This is applied at the server level. But if we, and that should even be true if we have pages enabled. But here, if we have like a Nuxt link, and we'll call this index, and we have test, say, test. And we have our Nuxt config again, and we're going to redirect to test. This makes it a little bit more interesting. So basically, if I open the page in the browser and I click about, what's going to happen is that I get a 404 page because there is no about page. Whereas you could say, wouldn't it make sense to respect the redirect in the root rules? So we can now do that with this app manifest. So we could do something like this. If we have so what we would probably want to do is add a middleware, which would be a little bit like, we would add it, I think, core. And we would do it in core app, I think. Or would we? I think we would do it always. So we would basically, we could do it in Nuxt core, and we could add it here. Add Nuxt, add root middleware. name is going to be manifest root rule, and the it's going to be global, and the path is going to be resolve. We need to create that. Join. We'll have to create the path, and we're also going to only add this if we have the manifest. So if Nuxt options experimental manifest, then we'll add a middleware to respect it. And we will basically, do we have some directories? Yeah, dist package.dir. So here's an example of using dist. And where are we? Up here. Dist directory, and it will be app middleware manifest root rule. So we will just create middleware manifest root rule, and we'll basically do exactly the same thing that we would expect to do. We will import from our manifest file this new get root rules matcher. And we will await it. So, hey, nice to see you. And what we will do here is matcher okay, instead of getting the matcher, I think we should just expose get root rules. And what we will do, what's the matter? Compare. Seems fine. What we'll do is instead do this. So that should mean that what we're now able to do here is seems simpler. Nice Nuxt logo there. Okay, so is this all fine? So we're doing a little bit of refactoring. We've got the middleware only being added if it's enabled. Then we're going to pull it in here. I think that's toPath. And what we're going to want to do is if rules redirect, then console log redirect, I guess. I just want to see what it says. And that it's working, so. That's odd. Oh, the issue here is that it's loading it on the server as well, and we actually only want to load this on the client. Well, that's weird. Okay, what's going on here? And what have we changed? Oh, we're getting a 4 of 4. Is that because it's dev mode? And for some reason, we don't have it enabled. Why is it not enabled? So we should be... This should be true by default. Oh, I see. It's not true because payload extraction. Is payload extraction still true? Let's see. It is. Okay. Okay, it's hitting. Why is this hitting it? Why is that not working? Let me just check Nitro. No, let's just check it here. We have oh, very nice. I'm glad. That's congratulations. That's great. I'm a little bit confused. I am sure this was working a moment ago. So what have I changed? I've changed the I really am confused. Ah. No? Is it this, maybe? Ah, that's the issue. If it's not dev, there we go. Okay, beautiful. So now it's working in dev mode. Crazy. And we have a manifest. So fix render in. So now we have our manifest, and we should be able to pull it up in the browser here. And we have an about page. If we click that page, we log the redirect. So what we should do is we can have a couple of different kinds of redirects. So I think we might be normalizing the wrong ones. Let's just have a check. So our manifest is including root rules from the Nitro root rules. So they are normalized at this point. And I think it's just extracting the string. Okay, so that's fine. It is always just going to be a string. So in our router, or in our middleware, we can basically return rules redirect. Okay, beautiful. So that means I think we should now be able to refresh this, click it, and our client-side app is, yeah, sorry about that. That client-side app is now respecting the root rules for the page. So let's try this. Let's add this to the to get app manifest. Okay, and composables, composables test. We will basically do this. Okay. Fantastic. Okay. Cool. Let's push those up. And I think we have to consider, oh, thank you. I think we have to consider defaults for root rules. So for manifests. So basically we want it to be possible to have hybrid builds So at the moment, if you have payload extraction on, which will be true by default, then it will generate a manifest in production. I would like to test this on an actual site and test a couple of different things. So I will basically trigger a, oh good, I'm glad it passed the tests. So we'll trigger a release. And this will emit something. That is a very, 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 very fair point. I think if people up for like a brief break and a fresh cup of tea, and then we'll see where we are here. Is that okay? We'll say it's okay. Okay, back in 5 minutes and see you very soon. Okay, I'm back. And a couple of things. Oh, this I think we can just rerun. A couple of things. We have a release. Where are we? This. Ah, failed. What did I do? Did something wrong. So, oh, it needs to be updated. But we have a release trigger, so we could actually test this out. But I'll have to see why it's failed. Oh. Did I not add it to the... Okay, so what we're doing, if you've just joined us, my mic has a weird sound. Can you hear me? Is it any better? Is it the same? It comes and goes. It's the worst kind of bug to deal with. This is the mug of today. This is my tea mug. My tea mug is silver, and my coffee mug is black. That is the truth of it. Get root rules. Oh, I think the issue here is that we're not exporting it. So we need to actually stick it here. Fix, export, get root rules. There we go. Exactly, that is precisely what it is. Putting tea in a coffee mug, or the other way around, it doesn't do good things. You can actually taste it. It doesn't matter how well you wash it. Right. That's probably fine, though. If I want to test this, I can still test it. Okay, I'm going to make a new project, new Nuxt. Okay. And yeah, that sounds awful. That sounds awful. Temp, new Nuxt. Doesn't exist. Should be there. Oh. It. Stop. Okay. New. Bad things have been happening to my stream just now. Come on. Why so slow? But you wouldn't want a refund, right? open. No, connect. What? Connect. Three kids. I was one of three. It's a good number. 3 is good because it's not even. So you can't have 1 versus 1. Like you always have to like relate to more than one person. So you can't just have, yeah, I think it's good. Let's see, open. Oh no, create a new folder. That's what I want. Come on. Why is it so slow? What is happening? Whoa, that's old. Those are kids. Okay, Nuxi init test project. Okay, we're there at last. So opening test project in this new window, which for some reason took ages to actually turn on. And give it a second. No, you won't be old. Your kids might be. But I think like the difference between 0 and 10 for kids is much bigger than the difference between like 30 and 40 for adults. Like you can basically be the same person you were at 30 or 40. I'm just sort of suggesting that. Okay, we need to update the install. We want to install, I'll just do it directly. Okay, so this is the version that we just built, and I want, oh, did I want to do it at, that's a terrifying thought, isn't it? Isn't it, Daniel? Like, what's going on inside your head at this moment in time? Has your oldest built any kind of exciting Rust-based Edge runtime programming sort of runtime? Has that happened? Actually, I don't want to do this. I don't want to create a test project. I actually want to test my actual website. So git clone github.com Daniel Rowe row.dev. Let's see what this does. Just check where Nuxt is. It is in my dependencies. So install that. Okay, let's run the dev server to start. This is a bit weird. Oh, this is because now Nuxt polyfills the request idle callback, and previously it did not. So that's convenient. We don't need any more grift. That is 100%. Hey Hal, nice to see you. So I think we can remove, I can remove my, remove these things. Cool. And open it in the browser. Oh, hello. Oh, this is Nitro issue. So, because we're using the Edge version, and there's been some significant changes to Nitro Edge version, which mean I'll have to pin a dependency here. So I'm going to want NitroPack to be NitroPack latest rather than NitroPack Edge. Oh, npm. Chunk error. Yeah, Tom, by the way, this has long been the case. There is a whole Edge, you know, when I asked on Twitter about that, there has been a whole Edge channel in Nuxt for literally years, since before Edge became a thing, in terms of people talking about it. So the reason I did the poll was to find a better name. But at the moment, the Edge channel is basically the latest commit from Git. We're likely going to change that, maybe nightly is what it's going to be. And even though that's technically inaccurate, because it's actually every commit, not just every night, it should be more understandable to people. But honestly, if you can think of a better intuitive, accurate, non-cringy term that we can apply to lots of different situations, then let me know. So what I'm interested in is, okay, so there's our build manifest coming in. You can see we have some root rules and some pre-rendered roots, which are basically what you absolutely hate. The fact that it's an Edge channel. Let me open it. Here you go. Here's the documentation for the Edge release channel. Ta-da! We're likely going to go with nightly. But yeah, Edge channel, Edge, 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 Edge. Head and main both do make sense, but you have to understand that it's the branch. Like if you just said Nuxt main, Nuxt head, does that really let people know that it's tracking the Git commits, like version control? That's the problem, like Nuxt main. The other thing is we'd want to roll this out across NitroPack and also like Nuxt image and other thing as well. Oh yeah, no. I get it. The reason, the whole point is we're planning to rename it from Edge. You don't need to stop. No, I'm totally on board with this. But it has been like this for some time. Like Nuxt 2 had an Edge channel. So I could say that all of these other things are looking at my mic in a very disturbed way. Mike, why would it crackle? Literally, I'm not doing anything different. I wonder, I can apply some kind of filter. I'll try and apply a filter to my mic. Audio filter. Do you think, is that just like... Maybe that my phone is literally next to it, so maybe I'll move it over there. It could just be my phone, like interfering somehow. I'm just going to periodically send Tom a link to the Edge release, the Nuxt Edge release channel. I think I'm just going to set a bot up to do that, and I think that will be good for us all. You know, it will increase your, your tolerance for stuff. Master. I cannot believe you're actually suggesting that we should name Nuxt Master will be you're trolling me now. Okay, so I think in Nuxt there's an issue that I've just spotted, which is that we should not we should not. This is something that actually gets replaced in at runtime, like after pre-rendering. So what we would do here is process.dev. There we go. That's what we want. Fix. Return empty array of 100 roots. Dev. And someone suggested Nuxter and Nuxtest. Those are also good. Love them. Like the concept was bleeding edge, I think. Like the very, very latest possible thing. Okay, that is accurate. Now, okay, this is the problem I have here. You might actually want to get payloads for routes that are not pre-rendered. That's the issue. No, that is one issue. So in our payload situation, we load payloads. This basically doesn't. We don't render payloads if they're not pre-rendered. But we probably do want to load payloads or allow runtime payloads. Well, I'll get thoughts before we change that. That is definitely something to think about. There is actually a Nuxt Next. I discovered this recently. Well, when I was doing this poll, look, Nuxt Next. Under active development, 1.0 will be released soon. Weekly downloads 1. Weekly download. That is a very much a low. It's surprising there are so few weekly downloads. But yeah, there you go. Nuxt Next does exist. Right, time to live. That's the thing that we need to implement next. So basically we have the app manifest, but it can get out of date. So if you have it open in your browser, like you might need to like refresh the app manifest. So we can have maybe an options object, and what we want to have has a refresh like option. So if not manifest or options refresh, then okay, so that would refresh the manifest. And 6 years ago, that's it. Well, I mean, I had not even used Nuxt at this point, so I've never come across this one before. There you go. Who are these people? Look how few backers there were. Like literally, that's what 30. Okay. We also want to try. Okay, we'll have a function called refresh app manifest, and it will basically do this. Manifest is this. And matcher is this. Oh. Not sure if this is quite the best thing. This will refactor. That was a bad refactor. I don't think that was worth doing. I basically want to allow this to be refreshed, and I want it to be refreshed at a certain point. So we'll just create a time to live, and the time to live is going to be expires at, maybe. It's going to be a number. And so basically I would say sort of refresh set manifest, and basically we're going to set expires at, we're going to set the manifest. So manifest is that. And I guess we could also set the matcher, but basically the manifest is the thing that has the expiry date. That's all that really matters. Expires at equals date.now plus what's a reasonable expiry date? 5 minutes? 10 minutes? An hour? 10 minutes, maybe. Okay, and basically return manifest. An hour? Reasonable. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Here we go. Ta-da! My bot I've replied. I need to, okay. How do people set this up? Twitch, auto response. People seem to expect this. This is obviously a thing. Auto respond to certain text. Okay. How do we do this? A Twitch bot. So it's not built in. This is something I have to do. Chat tools, chat replies, custom messages. I feel there's something there, but I feel it might not be quite as straightforward as just a quick config option. Oh, this is not async. Okay, so expires at is number, and now we have to actually do something with it. So basically, if not manifest, return fetch manifest. Do we set a timeout? We could set a timeout. That might be a better option. So we could basically say let timeout and say set timeout. Oh, we cancel it. Cancel timeout. What is cancel timeout? Like, unset timeout. What is it? My mind has gone totally blank. It's been so long since I've canceled a timeout. How do you cancel a timeout? Come on. I'm going to race you. Cancel timeout. What is it? Cancel timeout. Tell me GitHub Copilot. It's not there for me. Set timeout. What is my... Clear time. Thank you, Tom. What was that? Okay, clear timeout. Timeout. Timeout is set timeout. Fetch manifest. That amount of time. If thank you all. Okay, that's going to be a Node.js timeout. It's not actually a Node.js timeout, but we have node types around. Okay, so we'll clear timeout and set another one to do the same thing again. Makes sense. The other thing that we need to do is, I think probably if we create the root matcher here, so manifest then matcher is, okay, that will basically ensure the matcher is kept up to date. Actually, I wonder if we can update it in line. So matcher context table. No, I think we have to replace it. Abort timeout. I don't think that will do it. And I think setting the timeout to null shouldn't, that won't stop it, right? That's just setting the variable to null. But I could be wrong. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is that seems sensible. Okay. Cool. Oh, yes. Yeah, no. Well, this isn't even the fun. This is just the stuff that hopefully is going to make it fun. But this isn't the fun itself, so I hope it's not been too boring. Let's see. But yes, you should try it. You should give it a go. And let me know what you think as well. Okay, so we have got our page, dev mode. Ooh. Yes, because we have to await it. Oh, why is it not set? Oh. That would be an important difference. Okay, so we basically have the... don't terrify me with these Java commands, right? So root rules are working. Nice. And in general, it seems to be loading stuff. The point is, do we have a timeout? We can try this by changing it down to just... that's seconds, 60 seconds, 60 minutes, right? So we're to make 1 second timeout. Refresh the page and just see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Beautiful. So the timeout is working as expected. We also don't, I think, want to do anything with any of this on the server. So I think what we ought to do is add another little thing here. So if process server return or throw an error. The problem is I think it might mess up our types because rightly, this is dank mono, which is also on my website as well, but you can also go directly to it at dank.sh. This shouldn't be in the server build anyway, so I think we can just throw an error. Actually, it should be fine to work on the server, so maybe I'm wrong about that. Like, we should be able to fetch it because we have a root handler for it. Okay, so where are we? What more changes did I make? There we go. Cool, we lost some bundles. Okay, let's try that. And let me just check that it is going to resolve the issue as I say it will. So we have an app manifest. Okay. Hey, nice to see you. Okay, we now need to add some handling. So for stuff like a mismatched build, so that isn't the right like build ID. So here we have our build ID, which is going to be, we have our our metadata there, and we need to embed this build ID to Nitro. So I think we can do that in Nitro's runtime config, maybe. So app config. Okay, so we can embed our build ID here and access it from app config next. And then what we want to do is use that to know what to fetch. Because in fact, our manifest, it's not that we always want to have the updated version of it. In fact, it should be a static version. So our app manifest should be builds, not latest, but this. And that build ID we should get from use app config, which means that okay, let's see if that works. Huh, yeah, well, that's fun. Oh yeah, and there's two JSONs. So why, oh, you build it dot next. Long ID, but it does seem to be correct. Okay, so basically this is going to be what our this is going to be our manifest that matches the current build. So what we need to do is, if there is a new build, then we want to do something with that, and we're going to access that by getting build's latest. So our timeout should be something like I think it shouldn't be here, is what I think. I think it should be something like, let's get rid of this. So basically we have our build ID, which we're fetching. And then we are setting the matcher and returning the manifest. That's fine, right? That's fine. This is actually duplicate because it'll be called there. So in fact, we'll remove all of this and say instead, embed build ID in app config. Oh, it didn't change anything. Yeah, so we'll do that. Embed it in the build, and then we're not going to need to set a timeout in a different way, in a different place. So I think what we can do is have a plugin, which will be something like check outdated build, and it will basically do all the timeout stuff that we just had. And actually this can live inside the plugin, it doesn't really matter at this point. So function refresh manifest, and because basically I think we don't want to change the manifest. The manifest is a one-off thing to do with the build, I guess. Am I getting lost? Is there any reason we want to update it? I think we just want to emit an event that tells people the latest manifest and date time. So we want to, what we want to do is basically fetch this. Okay. Oh. That's why. Great. Okay, so what are we doing? We're basically, when Nuxt is ready, so once we've booted everything up and resolved everything else, then we're going to set a timeout that basically every hour is going to refresh, fetch a new request to the latest manifest. And basically our current manifest is await get manifest. Our current manifest and our latest manifest. If latest manifest dot, actually we don't want them to be the same. All we want for the latest manifest is just to have the ID, I think. So probably let's just change this here. So we're registering the same one, And I think all we want to do is, the latest is should just handle should just return the ID. So let's try this. And we just want to return the ID and the timestamp, because I think that will slightly improve performance. Okay, ID and timestamp. And so our latest.json can get back that. Okay, see you later. We're basically going to say meta. I think what we can do is call a hook. So we can say hooks, call hook, and we will say runtime Nuxt hooks. We have a few things. So we'll say manifest update, and we'll pass in meta Nuxt app. Manifest meta. So that's going to be, what did I say it was? App manifest update. Cool. Okay, so we're going to do the same then with Apter, next options Apter. Good. Okay, so basically we're now injecting the plugin. Yes, the hooks in Nuxt do use Hookable. Okay. Emit. I wonder if we need to have any particular fetch options to make sure this isn't cached. Shouldn't be cached. It's not cached. Question in my mind is whether we want to automatically do anything. Because at the moment we have this chunk reload option. I think, and basically what it does if there's a router error, it will just seamlessly navigate to the next page. What we could do is actually handle this as well. So basically, Nuxt app hook app manifest update, and what we would do in this case is router before resolve. We will do exactly the same. So this. And we'll extract that, of course. So what we'll do is we'll say function reload app, and it needs to have this. And it's going to take something of the root location normalized app path. So that will basically then, on the next navigation, after an app update has been detected, it will automatically update it. And that's only if users have opted in to this particular kind of chunk reload error. So let me just confirm that whether that's enabled by default. Yeah, only if it's, this is the default. But it can be disabled, I guess, is the main thing. we will say that's interesting. Well, let's do this let's have a different one in dev mode, basically. Let's try that. Here. So we have our build ID is Nuxt options dev, sort of. That's interesting. We should actually synchronize this, I think. So it should be something more like it's a pain. I could just ignore it. Okay, that will take us back, and we'll just need to, in our config, we'll just pass in overrides next config. So environment options, next overrides app config, next build ID is test. And ultimately that will be probably done directly in Nuxt vtest. So then we just add a handler for that. Wait, why is it dev? Why is it dev? What have I changed? Okay, so we have got that, which just initializes it. That's fine. We have this, which respects it if it's set. Then we have our composables test, which, oh, the ID probably needs to be test. And this needs to be test. Okay, this is a bit weird. Why is this not? Why is the build ID not set? Why is it set to dev? Do I do it in the manifest handler? Manifest latest. Manifest. Line 24 somewhere. Aha! Thank you. That would explain it. That would definitely explain it. Interesting. So why isn't this working? Sometimes I think the majority of my life is spent asking, why isn't this working? Why isn't this working? Why isn't this working? Okay, why is this not responding to anything? We have an ID, a timestamp, root rules, and pre-rendered. Do I need to restart it? Is it just... It specifically should be registered. If I drop that, there's a sadness in the small one. Okay, what am I not seeing here? This was working moments ago with just latest, but it's not accessing build meta.test. Is the issue here? Don't think so. We're registering the endpoint. And actually, it should be safe to be called more than one time. That is how it works. Oh. How old is my small one? He's 3.5. He's 3.5. Okay. let's try just deving it again. See if anything fails or works or whatever. Okay, so that is pulling in the ID that we're expecting. Actually, I wonder if we really need to return the ID. I guess it at least confirms it's accurate. Okay, let's rerun the runtime test. Which fails. Oh, I think, right, it's probably this again. Wait, it's not that, because it shouldn't be hitting this at all. It should be hitting this here. So is there an issue with this? Literally, this code. Timestamp root rules pre-rendered. Let's drop the timestamp. Let's drop that. And just to be 100% clear, this is the path. I don't think it's the full stop, by the way. That is actually very confusing, but what's our folder? Node modules, Vite, node modules, cache, test fixtures, basic, node modules, Vite. Ugh. Okay, doesn't seem to be a cache issue. Doesn't seem to be a problem with registering the endpoint. Yeah, I'm just hoping this magically works. That is what I'm hoping. What if I think it was working a moment ago and I didn't have any environment options. So I'm going to drop the environment options for some reason. And I am going to go back to my config, to my composables test, and let's just do what we did before, which is use appconfig.nux.build id equals test. And let's run it one more time. This is just a VM. I've fired up a VM on Azure, and I'm just SSHing into it, running VS Code Server. It's faster. Well, it doesn't actually have to be very fast. The problem is my GPU gets overloaded because I have a widescreen monitor. So it gets overloaded and I can't stream properly. So for some reason, VS Code strains my GPU. Actually, this is maybe an issue. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just my system. I don't quite know how or why, but this works for me. Hello. She wants to leave the room. I'll let her out. Yeah, I'm just getting it from Azure. You could get it from anywhere. I actually just create it moments before the stream, set it up. I have a little script which sets it up for me now, and then do the stream. And then when I am done, I like shut it down. So it's totally like on demand. I think I'm gonna have to go pretty soon because I've strained your attention far too long, and we feel nearly there. This is just a little test issue. So let's re-enable those overrides. App config next build ID. Basically, my script is not, it's not like amazing. It's just enough for what I need, which is the main thing, right? You just need something that is going to work. So let me just check that there are no credentials in it. And yeah, okay. This is basically, I think this will do. Actually, that's an interesting point. Do I have GH? No. Basically, this is my code. This is my script. So I have something called configure, which is just a, I literally update some config, my SSH config, with the new IP address, which I pass at runtime, and I rewrite my SSH config, my local SSH config, so that it's registered, and basically I have a custom Azure identity file. I'm going to forward my agent, which means I can push to Git without having to reconfigure Git on the VM. And then I basically upload this shell script and run it on the remote server once I've done that. And so the thing that I then run on the remote server installs ASDF, installs the latest version of Node, sets my Git username, and then it pulls in GH, the GitHub CLI. And although I think there might be an issue with that because I don't have it on this particular VM, but that's what it does. It's super, super simple. And there might be better ways of doing it, which I just didn't devote any attention to it at all. This is just, I just thought, it saves me doing it manually. Builds meta test. So something is getting in the way of my register endpoint thing. Better than code spaces. Well, yes, because I can specify the quality of the machine I want. So I pick a machine with a lot of RAM. And speed, because I don't want to be my general experience with VMs is that they're not necessarily faster than my machine, and so this is a bigger machine maybe than CodeSpaces has, but I only use it for like small fragments of my time, and then I shut it down, so the cost is still extremely small. Okay. Where am I fetching from it? Builds meta. I'm using that. Doing it here. But it's not that, it's this. Crazy. I'm going to have to look into this because I don't know exactly what the problem is. And I actually do have to go and grab dinner. So I will do that. Thank you everybody for joining me. It's been so much fun having you. It is. I do really enjoy these streams, and I actually think it's helpful, like figuring out what to build and how to build and all of that. How would people feel about heading somewhere, raiding someone? So let's try Teej. Teej? I'm glad you do. Why is that not working? Raid. Is anything happening for you? Let's see. There we go. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. Thanks for the kind words. And I will see you all later.